Danny Segura for MMA Junkie here in South Florida. I'm here at Kill Cliff, standing next to former Bellator champion Michael Chandler, who returns November 12th at Madison Square Garden against Dustin Poirier. A pretty big fight, man. But it seems like your UFC career has been big fight after big fight after big fight. Is this what you expected when you got into the UFC?
It is. Not only was it what I expected, it's what I asked for. I told my first meeting was with Hunter Campbell, and I said, I want to be a good thing for your organization. I don't want to tiptoe outside the top 10. I want to come in right away and prove either I am who I say I am or I'm not. You can only do that by fighting the top guys, and every single guy that I've fought thus far has been inside or right outside the top 5 at the time, and it's what I wanted, it's what I asked for, and the UFC obliged.
And it's crazy. I mean, you fought for the title. You had a fight of the year with Justin Gaethje. I mean, since you got into the UFC, it's just been headline after headline, right? Did you expect that as far as, maybe not like opponent-wise, you mentioned how you wanted to test yourself against the very best, but as far as like the splash that you made, did you feel like, yeah, I'm going to go in here, make a huge impact, and flip the division upside down?
You never know, you never know how it's going to work out. I believed that I was capable of that. I believed that you can only work so hard for so long and try to do the right things and keep a good reputation and serve people and bring value to people and build a platform and build a following and build a community for so long until your reputation finally meets your platform. And where those two intersect, magic can happen. And I think I've just been a consummate long-term guy in the sport for the last, I guess it was 12, 13 years before I came into the UFC. Cut my teeth, became a veteran, built a community and a support system of people who believed in me, and then the UFC gave me the platform, and that's where I think a lot of these guys in the UFC fall short a little bit in the mindset of not truly realizing how big the platform is. They don't realize how big the platform is because they don't know what the other platforms are or the lack thereof of platform. I believed I was one of the best guys in the world, one of the most exciting, most explosive guys in the world for the last decade. Yet I wasn't put on a platform enough to be able to prove that until I came into the UFC. So, as I said, where reputation and platform intersect, that's where magic happens. And it's been a little bit over 2 years. I signed September 17th of 2020.
That's my birthday, actually.
There you go. So I signed. That was when Dana announced it on ESPN. That was literally 2 weeks ago. So I have been signed with the promotion 24 months and 2 weeks, and it seems like it's been 5 years. It seems like I became a household name pretty quick. So it's been a huge blessing, and it's a huge testament to the UFC and their platform and what they've built.
Yeah, for sure. And let me ask you this. I mean, the talks of you potentially fighting in the UFC when you were in Bellator, I mean, they've been going on for years, right? But do you feel like almost like, do you wish that you would have gone into the UFC earlier? Or do you feel like you kind of caught it at the perfect time?
Honestly, I think it happened at the exact right time. I think when you're looking at your current circumstances through a microscope and combing through it with a fine-tooth comb, you can nitpick and you can look at certain scenarios and wish they were different. I think the fact that I was a little bit unhappy that I was only fighting once or twice a year in Bellator turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I think I have a lot less miles on me at 36 than some of these guys who've been in the UFC for the last 10 years have, because they've been fighting 3 times a year against some guys that they've been getting wars in. So I think I have more miles left in the tank than a lot of guys would at my age. Khabib retires as soon as I come in. The division's on fire. The lightweight division is the most exciting division in the world, in my opinion. And I was a healthy increase to that, I believe. So a healthy addition, rather. So I've enjoyed it. I think it was the perfect time. There's sometimes I wish I was still 30, 31, whatever. But man, I'll tell you right now, if I retired today, I'd be 100% happy with my career. My family loves me. My wife loves me. My God loves me. My supporters, my true supporters love me. I love me. And it's been a great career thus far, and we got a lot of tread left on the tires. I do believe I win the title.
And let me ask you about that now. I want to talk about Poirier in just a second, but how old are you now? 36?
36.
36. And obviously, I mean, you're in tremendous shape. You mentioned how you feel like you don't have a lot of mileage. But 36, I don't feel like, for whatever reason, I don't get the impression that you're going to be sticking around into your 40s in this sport. More or less, like, or maybe I'm wrong, but more or less, what do you envision for the rest of your career? What are your goals, and how long do you feel like you'll stick around?
I'm going to stick around for a little while for sure. You know, I think, man, I'm in here with the best team in the world, training against some of the best guys in the world. I'm outpacing 22-year-olds in here. You know, my brain and my mind and everything is sharp because I've been doing it for so long. I'm confident in my abilities, and I never get out of shape. You know, I live a true health and wellness fitness lifestyle. It's the reason I'm launching my own fitness app, to be able to serve people and give value to people and show them the tricks and techniques and the training programs and the diet and the nutrition and the mindset that has built my body into what it is, as a 36-year-old guy still competing at a high level. But got a lot of fights left in me. Obviously, I want to keep fighting the top guys. I beat Poirier. I think I might be next in line for the title. I think anybody would want to see me rematch Charles, and I think there's a lot of people who would love to see me fight Islam. I think I can solve that puzzle. So either way, whoever wins, I think I could be next for the title, but that's not up to me. We'll see what the UFC chooses, but big fights, big opportunities, and 12 pounds of leather and gold eventually.
And let me rephrase that. Maybe you do fight into your 40s. I didn't mean that. What I meant is I don't feel
I
like.
won't fight into my 40s.
What I meant is like I don't feel like you're one of those guys that will stick around if you're not 100%. Like if you don't feel elite, I don't feel like you'll.
100%. And going back to my, the answer to your previous question, man, like my wife loves me, my sons love me, my God loves me, and I'm extremely blessed, and I'm very, very happy with my life thus far. And this is all fun. This is amazing. I love pushing myself. I love the platform that I have, but nothing is more important than being able to, play soccer and baseball in the backyard with my kids and be there for my wife for the rest of our lives, to love her and serve her and take care of her and protect her. So that's the most important thing. So if there ever was a time where I felt like my health was declining, I'm not doing this for a paycheck. I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because this is God's plan on my life and God's calling on my life. And I got a lot of stuff going on outside of the octagon, business and ownership in companies and launching my own fitness app and real estate and investments and great relationships and platforms and speaking opportunities. I got a lot of things that I'm working on because I want to build a life outside of just my fight paycheck. I think that's where guys go wrong. They're mad at the promotion that the promotion doesn't pay them enough or fight them enough, but it's only because they're only relied upon that one paycheck to make their living. I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by a great amount of people who have instilled in me and helped me build a life outside of just fighting. And the day that I take off the gloves for the last time, I'll walk right into those roles and hopefully be thriving and be able to take care of my family doing that.
And now let's talk about Poirier. As soon as that fight got announced, the headlines were bad blood, grudge match, this and that. But then I saw that interview with DC, and I mean, certainly I feel like there's some dislike a little bit, but nothing personal. It kind of just seems like kind of two wolves growling at each other over a carcass, right? Like both of you guys have the same goal. Both of you guys are at the top. Only one of you guys can get it. It seems that's as far as sort of the beef goes per se. Is that accurate?
I think it's accurate. I think there's just a tug of war. There's a tug of war between two dudes who got the same goal. His goal is to step into the octagon and beat me and get his hand raised and continue to prove that he's one of the best in the world. I have the exact same goal. There's been some things that have been said. He disrespected me right away and said he'd rather sell hot sauce. I said I'm a bigger draw than him. We've said some things that maybe we do believe, maybe we don't really believe. Maybe it was just something that we got caught up on the moment on these microphones in front of media members who got asked a question, right? And it's just part of it. It's a lot of stuff gets taken out of context as well because you, as a media member, ask a question and people. You got to answer. And it's like, well, hey, why is he always talking about Islam? Or, hey, why did he say about this about Poirier? Well, it was as an answer to a question, and given the certain amount of context and the full answer, not just a soundbite, you might get a little more context. But it's par for the course. It's part of being on this beautiful platform that we call mixed martial arts and being in the UFC and being on these media opportunities. So it's I don't think. Listen, I've had some bad blood with guys in the past, and it has never worked out well spiritually. It doesn't sit right with me, doesn't sit well with me from a showing up on fight night and putting my best foot forward and having my best performance. The guy in front of me might be Dustin Poirier, but I don't look at it like Dustin Poirier. I look at a guy who's my size with 2 arms and 2 legs, and he has an agenda to try to beat me, and I have an agenda to try to beat him. I'm not looking at the person per se. I'm just looking at a body, and I'm looking at points of entry to be able to score points, get a knockout, get a submission, get a win.
And I don't know if you saw, a meme came out of that whole thing with DC about the earbuds.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How difficult is it to find the right headphones for you? Because you got pretty gnarly cauliflower.
I do got some gnarly cauliflower ears. The Beats air, whatever you call them, power beats that go over the ears. Those definitely work well. The Apple AirPods or whatever, they work decently. I gotta kind of push them in every now and then, but it is funny. Everybody always says, man, they're hanging on for dear life, and it is true. Sometimes I can hear the noise cancellation start to go away, and I have to push it back in. But ultimately, you gotta have headphones, and I need to get some. I do live in Nashville, Tennessee, the music capital of the world, so all artists wear those in-ears. I need to find a professional in-ear person who can make me some, and that would probably be much better than just buying the stock ones for people with normal ears.
And let me ask you this: going into this fight, people are already being like, this might be a fight of the year contender, fight of the night. This is going to be a fantastic fight. You also had a similar scenario when you fought Justin Gaethje, right? Do you expect this to be a car crash? Do you feel like this is going to be a crazier fight than the Gaethje one? What is your mentality going into this fight?
Man, my mentality is always to get in and get out as fast as I can. My mentality is to go in there and get the finish. Obviously I didn't really show that or prove that against Gaethje, but I think I had the best of intentions to go out there and get in his face right away, because Justin Gaethje likes to have his foot on the gas. He likes to be in control, and if you can take control, you can put your foot on the gas, and you can be the aggressor. I thought that would bode well for me for the rest of the fight, and ultimately I think it did. I think I Justin Gaethje as much as he can be Justin Gaethje, if that makes sense. So I think Poirier is the exact same way. He's a consummate just dog, man. He just goes hard. But we've put together a great game plan, and I think I train with one of his former coaches and some of his former teammates. I've been at ATT and trained at ATT years ago. He's got Mike Brown in his corner. Who is a genius. He's got these guys who know me and my style well. I know him and his style well. There's an immense amount of tape out there on him. There's a decent amount of tape out there on me. So may the best man win on November 12th. But I can tell you this: I'm coming to put my foot on the gas and get that title shot that I think I will have after a win.
Have you had any conversations with the UFC regarding what's at stake, a potential title shot?
I think I've been that guy since I came into the UFC who's kind of been on that cusp the whole time. Obviously, you got your numerous guys in the top 3, top 5. You got a couple guys surging into from the top 10 into the top 5. So the landscape is changing at all times. But I think I'm one of those guys who's right in the mix. I haven't been exactly told that I would get a title shot, but I know I'm definitely in the mix, and I know I would be a great champion and a great representative and ambassador for the UFC and the sport in general. So I think ultimately it would be a great thing for everybody. But we'll see. I got to go out there. I got to put a performance on November 12th, and then put a performance on against Charles or Islam if I do get the title shot, get that gold belt around my waist.
As you mentioned, the belt is up for grabs. Charles Oliveira. Who would you rather face?
Oh man, it's tough. I think it's, for me, who would I rather face? I think it's 50-50. I think if it's Charles, I would love to be able to get the rematch. I think I was so close to winning the title against Charles. I think that we have tape on each other. We have highlight reels of each other fighting each other. Both of us had our highs.
Nice promo package.
Yeah, both of us had our highs and lows in that fight. And I also would love to, if Islam does beat Charles, I would love to be the guy who stops the hype train of Islam if he does win. But the UFC lightweight division has a champion. His name is Charles Oliveira. That's his line, and it was a great line. So I do think Charles has the upper hand, in my opinion. I think it's crazy that he's an underdog, but I do think Islam has the tools to be able to win. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on October 22nd. I'll be watching that very intensely, and I hope to face the winner.
Certainly a competitive fight, and I feel like, there's no doubt it's going to be, pretty even. Certainly both guys are elite, but I feel like a lot of people are on the same train of thought that you are on, being like, how is this guy the underdog? I mean, he's the champion. He's been killing it. He's in a crazy fight win streak. Islam is very good, but he's a little bit less proven than Charles Oliveira. In your mind, if you're trying to put sense into it, what exactly is pushing Islam to be the favorite? Because it seems, again, a lot of people are thinking the same thing as you.
Yeah, you definitely can't say that he hasn't, faced the talent, because that's what I said, and I got, chewed up for it. But there were a lot of people who also came to my defense. I mean, with the world of Instagram now, they, there's a lot of memes that come out, and people do their research and whatnot, and they talk, someone said that Conor McGregor at this point has fought more top 5 guys than Islam has, and
to be fair, it's not Islam's fault. He's had a difficulty, but it is a fact. He hasn't had many wins over top level guys.
For sure, and so I wouldn't even call it a criticism. It's just pointing out of a fact. It's just, it doesn't seem like commonplace for someone to not fight a top 5 guy and then get a title shot. And people will say, well, hey, I came into the UFC and got a title shot after my first win. Well, Dan Hooker was the number 5 guy in the world, and I finished him in 2.5 minutes, which Dustin Poirier just went 25 minutes with him before the fight before that. So you definitely can't say that Islam is unproven, but you definitely can say I think there's a certain mystique. There's a certain correlation that we want to make between Khabib and Islam, and then you have Javier Mendez coming out and saying that Islam is better than Khabib. You got Khabib saying that Islam is better than Khabib. You got this big hype machine coming up. I mean, shoot, if you can hear the praise and the crazy forethought of who and what Bo Nickal is going to be right now after only having these 2 tiny little short performances, you can see how people can continue to build the mystique of somebody very quickly with not a lot of track record behind it. And that's nothing against Bo Nickal, and that's nothing against Islam. It's just we get excited about, hey, this guy could be the next big thing, and Islam could very well be that. Bo Nickal probably is that, but only time will tell.
And I appreciate your time. Just a couple more questions here. You mentioned Bo Nickal. I mean, you're a stud wrestler yourself, right? Tiger style, Missouri. What do you make of Bo Nickal transitioning into MMA? And is it something kind of nice? I know obviously he's an ATT guy and all that, but kind of cut out of the same cloth in the sense of this stud wrestler going into MMA.
I mean, he has been very impressive thus far, and he's doing. I think he's got the right mentality. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He was always that guy. He had that reputation inside college wrestling. He was a good guy who worked hard, who was part of a good team, who had a good moral compass, who knew right from wrong. He knew how to keep it clean off the mat, but keep it freaking crazy on the mat and just beat people down. So I think he's got a very, very bright future. Do I think he's going to be champion? I've been around this sport long enough to know that there's been so many guys that I thought were going to be so great and they end up fizzling out. And there's been some guys who I thought were going to be average end up being, world beaters and champions. You don't ever quite know. If I had to put my money on it, I think Bo Nickal is going to be championship material someday, just because of his mindset, his abilities, and his willingness to keep an open mind, I believe, and learn. That Penn State wrestling room was different, and they were very successful because they kept an open mind. They kept it light. They didn't put a ton of pressure on themselves. They had fun with the sport of wrestling. If he can do that with the sport of mixed martial arts, protect himself, not to take a ton of damage, not come in here and try to, I tell a lot of these young guys right now, man, you're not making any money here in the practice room. You're not making any paychecks. If anything, you're doing nothing but taking ticks off of your clock with every single hard punch that you take inside of here. Choose the right training partners. Think about the long game. You want to be the guy at 36 who's still able to do this, not the guy who kind of fizzles out in his late 20s because he left his entire career in the gym. So long and short of it, it's refreshing to see a very high-level wrestler coming in. I'm excited to see Bo Nickal's future.
Would that be the number one advice that you'd give him about taking care of himself in training, or as a veteran, as somebody who transitioned, what would be like the number one advice that you would give Bo Nickal now entering UFC?
100%. Think about the 32-year-old. Think about your 32-year-old self, not your 22-year-old self. Think about being here for the long haul. Think about the decisions that you can make today and the delayed gratification that you can engage in that will someday pay off into, as I said, where your reputation and your platform intersect. Build that good reputation, build that good platform, make yourself an indispensable asset with your promotion, with your team, with your sponsors. Be a person of good reputation, and everything else will take care of itself. Because he's already got the talent. He's already got the abilities. He's got the coaching. He's got the hype behind him. Now it's just about navigating, keeping your nose to the grindstone, keeping your ego in check, and continuing to keep a white belt mentality, a walk-on mentality. As I said, Bo Nickal was the exact opposite of me. He was a blue chip recruit who ended up being a couple-time All-American or a couple-time national champion. I was a walk-on at the University of Missouri, started at the bottom, had to build myself into who I eventually became, becoming an All-American. But keep that walk-on mentality of every single day I can learn, and I don't care if it's an 18-year-old kid who might be able to teach me something or a 58-year-old dude who's in here moving around with us. I can learn something every day.
That's fantastic advice. And last question, I don't even know if you care about this, but I feel like it's relevant. You have no idea, so maybe you don't. Maybe it's true. But some reports came out, and you can verify also this on the USADA website, that Conor McGregor has yet to be tested in 2022. No, I'm sure you've tasted all the time. How many times have you been tested, by the way, this year?
This year? I don't know how many this year, but I know I'm in the 20s, and I've only been signed with the promotion for 2 years. I did tell Jeff Davitsky, start testing me more. I want that 50 jacket before I.
It is a nice jacket.
Before I retire.
So anyways, reports came out, and people can verify this on the USADA website as well, that McGregor has yet to be tested at all in 2022. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it. I know he's out of competition right now, recovering from an injury, not an active fighter, but any thoughts on it as somebody who is in the USADA pool and does get randomly tested?
I don't have any comments on that. I don't really know enough about it. I did kind of see some reports coming out. Maybe I'm just blind to the fact that maybe there could be something going on, but I know USADA shows up here at the gym. USADA shows up at my house at 6 a.m. USADA has shown up in California, Arizona, all over the entire country when I've been on vacations, when I've been not at my home. So I've been tested all over the country and at all different times, morning, evening, night. It's 100% completely random. There's always going to be criticism of everything when it comes to sport and, USADA and government, or governances like that. So I don't really have a comment on it. I think USADA does a great job. I do want to be tested more so I can get that 50 jacket. That's all I really ask, Jeff.
Just double up on the testing.
And well, that's the thing too. I will say this. They have definitely upped the testing. I don't know if it's me personally, but I get blood. I've given blood and urine the majority of the time. I know a lot of guys before it was just urine. I'm getting blood. I'm getting 2 vials of blood and urine about 90% of the time. So it's probably 20 times I've had blood and urine tested, which is, they're testing for every single thing. So they're stepping up, which that's extra added costs, that's extra added time, that's extra added staffing, that's extra added checks and balances. So I'm happy with it. It's much better than all the other organizations who don't test at all.
All right, Mike. Well, I appreciate the time. I know a bit of a lengthy interview. You got a lot to do, but I appreciate the time. Best of luck against Dustin Poirier, November 12th. Very exciting fight. Looking forward to it.